This is the operation video for the 7400 Terrain Cut Trim and Surrounds mower. The mower made for the daily battle of Bunker Hill. With exclusive engineering designed to ensure victory over both undulating and flat terrain. We will show you how to operate the 7400 Terrain Cut mower correctly and safely, provide maintenance information, as well as setup and adjustment information for the rotary decks. Remember, you are responsible for your own safety and the safety of those around you. Safety should be the first thing you think of when operating any machine on the golf course. Always wear your seatbelt on the 7400 Terrain Cut mower or any equipment that has a rollover protection structure. Since we won't cover everything in this video you need to know, be sure to read the printed operator's manual before mowing with the 7400 Terrain Cut for additional safety and machine operation. The operator's manual is available in Spanish as well as other languages. Please contact your distributor if other languages are needed. This video also contains a Spanish version. We'll start with a look at the operating controls and features. Always use the step provided to enter and exit the operator station of the machine. Adjust the seat for comfort using the fore and aft adjustment, and fasten your seat belt. Important controls and indicator lights on the 7400 Terrain Cut mower are located on the command arm within convenient reach of your right hand as you sit in the seat. The controls include the raise lower lever, mow transport lever, throttle control lever, engine indicator lights and hour meter module, ignition switch, optional headlight switch, width of cut switch, deck extend retract switch, and the deck select switch. Push the mow transport lever forward to engage the rotary decks and back to disengage them. To use the one-touch raise lower lever, simply push and release the lever forward to lower the rotary decks, and pull the lever back and release it to raise them. If the mow transport lever is in the mow position, the blades will begin turning when you lower the decks. If it is in transport, the decks will lower, but the blades will not turn. Push the throttle lever forward to increase engine speed and back to decrease engine speed. On the warning light module, lights will illuminate briefly when you start the engine. The engine preheat indicator is an amber light that will glow for about 3 to 5 seconds when you turn the key switch to run. If the hydraulic oil temperature indicator comes on while you are mowing, stop the machine, turn off the rotary decks, and let the engine idle to cool the hydraulic oil. If the engine oil pressure indicator comes on, shut off the engine to avoid serious damage. If the engine coolant temperature light illuminates, pull to the side of the fairway and let the engine idle to cool down. Notify your technician about any of these problems. Do not continue mowing. If the battery indicator illuminates when the alternator is not producing enough current, stop the engine and consult your supervisor. To expand the cutting width, toggle the width of cut switch forward to the 74-inch width of cut position. To decrease the cutting width, toggle it back to the 68-inch width of cut position. You can adjust the width of cut with the decks either raised or lowered. The 68-inch width of cut gives you maximum deck overlap for mowing in tight areas where a lot of sharp turning is needed. The 74-inch width of cut decreases your overlap and gives you the width needed for productive mowing of flat areas, requiring fewer sharp turns. Ask your supervisor to determine in what areas the 68-inch or 74-inch width of cut should be used. Shifting a single front deck out for trimming around bunkers and other obstacles is similar to selecting the electric mirrors on an automobile. With the decks lowered, use the deck select switch to choose the deck you want to extend. Then, push the deck extend retract switch in the direction you want the deck to move. The longer you engage the extend retract switch, the further out the deck will shift until the cylinder reaches its full stroke. In the 68-inch width of cut, the maximum reach outside the front tire is 13 inches. In the 74-inch width of cut, it is 15 inches outside the front tire. The deck will automatically return to the normal mowing position by moving the deck select switch to neutral or the opposite deck position. The decks will also retract automatically when you raise them. To continue with the controls, at your right foot are the hydrostatic foot control pedals. Press the left pedal to go forward. Press the right pedal to reverse. The upper pedal is the parking brake. And behind the steering column on the floor of the platform is the parking brake lock. To engage the park brake, engage the brake with your right foot and press down on the park brake lock with your left foot. Remove your right foot from the brake pedal first, then release the lock. The pedal will remain in the locked position. To release the brake, push the brake forward with your right foot until the lock is released, and remove your foot from the brake. On the bottom left side of the steering column is the steering column tilt control. With your left foot, depress the lever and adjust the steering column to a comfortable position. Then, release the control to lock the steering column. The 7400 Terrain Cut has a standard 2-post ROPS or rollover protective structure. You must always wear your seat belt low and snug when operating the mower to minimize your chance of injury from an accident. When working, your first line of defense against injury is wearing proper clothing for the job. Proper clothing includes heavy work shoes, long pants, safety glasses, a hard hat, and hearing protection. Depending on the work you are doing and the procedures at your golf course, you may also want to wear a long-sleeve shirt, sunscreen, and work gloves. Always start with a walk-around inspection before mowing. Make sure hardware is tight, and guards and shields are in place and in good condition. Look under the machine and check for oil, fuel, or coolant leaks. Make sure all warning decals are readable. Tell your golf course technician or equipment manager if there are any missing or damaged decals. Inspect the rotary decks to make sure they are in good shape. With gloves on, check the blades for nicks or signs of wear or damage. Have any damaged, worn, or missing parts repaired or replaced, and make needed adjustments before mowing. Check the tire pressure and the condition of the tires. The operator's manual lists the recommended air pressure for each tire. Before starting the engine, open the hood, pull the dipstick, and check the engine oil level to make sure it is in the operating area on the dipstick. Check the hydraulic oil level. This is best done when the oil is cold. Make sure there is hydraulic fluid in the expansion tank. Also, check the engine coolant level using the overflow bottle. If the engine is warm, the coolant should be between the indicated lines. If any of these fluid levels are low, top them off or have the service technician do it before you mow. Check the fuel water separator, which has the red ring floating in the bowl, and drain off any water as needed. Clean any debris in the engine compartment, particularly the air intakes. Check and clean the space between the radiator and the hydraulic oil cooler. Check the fuel gauge to make sure there's enough diesel fuel to get through the day. Next, climb aboard. Fasten your seatbelt. Start the engine and check the brakes. Again, have any problems serviced before mowing. Training is important. If you are new to operating the Terrain Cut, practice operation in an unobstructed area under direction of a qualified operator before mowing out on the golf course. Your training should also include time operating on slopes under the direction of a qualified operator to understand how to mow slopes safely and determine what slopes are not safe to mow. The 7400 Terrain Cut has an ignition interlock safety system installed. To start the engine, the mow transport lever must be in the transport position. The hydrostatic drive pedals must be in neutral, and you should be sitting in the seat, and the park brake must be engaged or locked. It's recommended that you test these systems before mowing. See your operator's manual for instructions on testing these systems and making sure the machine is running normally. If you find a problem while testing, do not operate the machine and notify your technician or equipment manager. Now that we've covered the pre-start checks, here are some tips on starting and operating the 7400 Terrain Cut. To start the engine, fasten your seatbelt snugly. Check that the park brake is locked. All operating controls are in neutral. The mow transport lever is in the transport position. Push the throttle lever forward to 1/2 of full engine speed and turn the key to the run position. The glow plug preheat indicator will illuminate for 3 to 5 seconds. When it goes out, turn the key to start the engine and move the throttle to full speed. Let the engine idle a few minutes to warm up the hydraulic fluid. When you're ready to go, release the parking brake, raise the rotary decks, and press the forward foot pedal. The farther you push the pedal, the faster you'll go. To go backwards, look behind you and slowly press the reverse pedal. When you take your foot off the pedals, the machine will slow to a stop. On slopes, you may also need to use the brake to stop the machine. To transport out to mow, raise the rotary decks. When transporting, use the cart paths when possible. Always transport at a slow and easy speed. Do not drive or mow over ground where traction or stability is an issue. If you have to move off the cart path, proceed slowly and avoid rough ground. Never allow riders, and be careful when driving on or crossing roadways. Use extreme caution when transporting or operating on slopes. Mow and transport straight up slopes, not across. Avoid quick stops and reduce your speed. Slopes should not be mowed when the grass is wet. When you arrive at the mowing site, stop the mower on level ground. Then lower the cutting units. Set the park brake. Throttle down the engine. Turn it off and exit the machine. Inspect the area you are mowing to remove any sticks, stones, or other debris that could damage the rotary decks or ruin the quality of cut. Also, to identify what areas are unsafe to mow. Pay special attention to any drop-offs into bunkers or bodies of water, as well as any embankments or slopes. These areas may not be safe to mow. Always consider topography and turf conditions when deciding what areas are safe to mow. Plan your mowing pattern to avoid any unsafe areas. When mowing close to these unsafe areas, adjust your machine's speed to allow you to operate your machine safely. Loss of control accidents and rollovers are a major cause of injury or death. Always make the safe choice. When you are ready to mow, climb aboard and fasten your seatbelt. Start the engine. Push the throttle lever forward to the maximum position if needed. Lower the rotary decks and push the yellow mow transport lever to the mow position. Never engage the mow transport lever with the forward reverse pedals depressed. This will damage the mow transport cable system. Only engage mow transport when the forward reverse pedals are in neutral. Release the brake. Push the lift lower lever forward to begin mowing. Plan and follow the most efficient path when mowing golf course roughs or landscaped areas. These areas typically have a variety of obstacles to mow around and varying terrain. Always make slow, gradual turns to not damage the turf and to maintain control of the machine. Mow wide around drop-offs and bunkers first. Then move closer and use the trimming feature to extend the deck out to trim around drop-offs and bunkers. Remember, use caution when mowing around bunkers, water features, ledges, or embankments. Before mowing near water, make sure the ground is not too wet, soft, slippery, or unstable. To improve the quality of cut when mowing taller grass, maintain full throttle, but reduce your ground speed. Always mow at safe speeds. Mowing too fast can be dangerous and will result in a poor quality of cut. Also, stay alert for people entering the mowing area. Be careful when mowing slopes. Mow straight up and down sloped areas. Keep all movements slow and gradual and avoid starting, stopping, or turning on slopes. Also, do not mow slopes when the grass is wet. As you mow, make sure the machine is cutting correctly and leaving a good quality cut. Also, pay attention to the machine and how it operates. In particular, watch for hydraulic leaks. Hot hydraulic oil can damage the grass. If you see a leak, stop mowing and move off into the deep rough. Turn off the engine and contact your supervisor for proper cleanup and/or disposal of contaminated areas. When you are finished mowing the area, stop the machine and move the mow transport lever to transport. Raise your rotary decks to the transport position and head safely to the next area to be mowed. When you're done mowing, transport back to the maintenance area. Stop safely on level ground. Set the parking brake. Lower the rotary decks. Throttle the engine down and let it idle for a short time to cool. Then, turn the engine off and remove the key from the ignition. Water causes grass material to cake between the fins. So, after the engine is cooled, use low-pressure compressed air to clean the radiator, radiator screen, and hydraulic oil cooler. Blow parallel to the fins to prevent damage. Damaged fins can reduce the cooling efficiency of the radiator. Also, blow away any grass that has collected on the machine. Over time, decaying grass can damage components and paint. Use low-pressure water to wash the rotary decks. A high-pressure power washer could force grease out of the bearings and actually damage some parts. Do not spray cold water on a hot engine block. After washing, grease the rollers and caster wheels on the rotary decks. It's also a good idea to refuel at the end of each day. Fill the tank with fresh diesel fuel. See the operator's manual for more information on fueling safety. And be sure to read the safety section of the operator's manual before you mow with your terrain cut mower. This completes the operator instruction section of this video. The 7400 Terrain Cut Mower is easy to service. Refer to your operator's manual for the engine oil and filter as well as the hydraulic oil and filter change intervals. Lubrication is also fast and easy. Check the operator's manual for locations and the intervals for all lubrication fittings. Check the air filter restriction indicator periodically. In dusty conditions, check it daily. The air restriction indicator tells you the air filter is working. Replace the paper element when the red plunger is visible. Never clean or reuse an old air filter. The radiator uses a 50-50 mix of ethylene glycol and clean deionized distilled water. Dirty or incorrect radiator fluid can damage the engine block and radiator. Now, let's look at how to adjust the height of cut on the 7400 Terrain Cut rotary decks. Make sure the machine is safely parked on level ground, with the parking brake set, mow transport lever in transport, the engine off, and the cutting units down. The height of cut is adjustable from 1 to 4 inches in quarter-inch increments using spacers. To adjust the height of cut up or down, remove the linch pin from the roller casting. Then, refer to the operator's manual or the height of cut decal on the deck to determine the number of spacers to add or remove to get to your desired height of cut. When the correct number of spacers are in place, reinsert the linch pin. Follow the same procedure on all of the decks. The John Deere 7400 Terrain Cut, designed to help you win the Battle of Bunker Hill. With proper operation and regular maintenance using genuine John Deere parts and lubricants, you'll get years of service from your investment. Remember, the information provided here is only an overview. Be sure to read the operator's manual before operating, servicing, or making any adjustments to the 7400 Terrain Cut. And most important, always think safety when operating or maintaining any machine. If you have any questions or problems, be sure to contact your local John Deere distributor.